let's get started then. Thank you everyone for coming back to this week's edition of AI Tools Club. This is fully community driven. So even though I will be leading and I have a bunch of topics prepared, I also want to hear from you as well. So if you have any questions or comments or anything that you want to chime in with or whole topics that you want to discuss, feel free to jump on in and we can do that. This week, though, I wanted to get started not with models. Usually we start by covering the different models that have come out, but there hasn't been anything too interesting. I know Quentin has mentioned Ox Alpha in the chat. We'll get to that in a little bit, mostly because that's rumors right now. So I usually don't like talking about sort of rumors of models or, things that aren't fully released. But anyway, I want to talk about something else this week, which is a platform for that a lot of us could potentially be using, because I know a lot of us here probably have M series Macs that are sitting around. So this platform is called Darkbloom. So this platform, what they allow you to go and do is you get to use your Mac as a machine that can go and do inference as a part of a big cluster. And so they are actually now a part of OpenRouter, and they turned on people paying for these models. So you, the sort of node owner, get paid for the tokens that your Mac is generating at home. I believe, I don't actually know where they're at right now in terms of token usage, but I think they were doing like, I think they've done a couple billion tokens. Let's say Dark Blue. Let's see. So yeah, they're doing, about 10 billion tokens between Gemma 4, GPT OSS, and Qwen 3.6. So yeah, it's very interesting. I thought you stand to make a decent amount of money if you have a strong enough chip. So I think I have an M4 with 16 gigabytes of memory. I can't actually go and use this platform because I can't run any of these models. Like I said, Qwen 3.6, Gemma 4, or GPT OSS. You need more memory than that to be able to run those models. So it looks like, actually, interestingly, when I checked this like last week, you could do this with 24 gigs because technically you can run like GPT OSS on there, but now they're requiring at least 48 gigs of memory. So if we go down, because this is Mac Mini. We'll go to a Mac Studio instead then and look at the prices. We'll say you have one of the nice ones. How interesting. Okay, they've decreased the earnings that they show for this. Oh, that's because duty cycle's low. So yeah, let's say you have a nice Mac Studio, an M3 Ultra. This is, to be fair, fairly expensive. And you're running at 75% of the time, you would be making, according to them, about just shy of $400 per month, depending on, as long as they can get the customers for it. 10 billion tokens a day is probably enough to saturate it. I know they have gone a bit viral. I think they have about like 200 Macs on the network right now. I'd also sort of run these models yourself and see how fast it goes. Because I saw some of their numbers, at least for the low end stuff. I think that's probably why they took it away. But for those low end models, they were not doing the math correctly, essentially, for how fast the models were running. And so they were vastly overestimating how much money you'd make. But yeah, you technically, can make, $4,700 a year. So that definitely, could pay for the entire unit. The nice thing, because Will says, be very careful of your home's kilowatt hours. Macs are very low energy usage usually. So even if you're running at full tilt, I believe it only uses like 100-ish watts to 200 watts. So it's definitely something to be aware of, but also not something crazy expensive either. I believe also these calculations that they show here factor in the price of electricity as well, being subtracted from that. I thought that was cool. Like I said, if you want to go and use the giant cluster of Macs to run local models, you can go and check it out here on OpenRouter. I looked into this a bit. So for those that don't know, I have a platform that, I'm eternally chipping away at called Compute Community. That is sort of similar to this, where you are able to go and say, if you're running a model locally, you can go and share it with the community here. This platform works with Macs. It also works with GPUs, like NVIDIA or AMD, or if you have like a DGX Spark like Nate here, you can host models here. This is not the same as that. So basically, there's something very special with Macs that you are able to go and do. So one of the issues that I ran into with Compute Community is that there's no way to go and verify what model is running on a given piece of hardware in a general sense. You're unable to do it with NVIDIA GPUs or AMD GPUs or anything like that. If yeah, there's no way for me, a remote, observer, to go and verify that. Like as a compute community, admin. If you say you're hosting Quen 3.6, I have no way of verifying that other than it looks like the right shape. But Max, on the other hand, they have a very interesting architecture where they have a bunch of like sort of like OS level internal integrity mechanisms that Darkbloom is able to go and piggyback off of, to be able to go and sort of verify what is actually running on your machine, and that you are also, your machine is what you say your machine is. I tried, very first thing I did, as you saw, I can't come on here with my M4 Mac Mini, but I saw, like, can I go and spoof this somehow and sort of convince them that I do have, a stronger Mac Mini that would be able to run the models they say they want. But everything seems to be sort of like in boxes in the Apple ecosystem and signed properly, where, at least through my non-cybersecurity lens, there's no easy way into this box to break this box. You probably have to go and develop some sort of zero-day exploit, essentially, to be able to go and infiltrate the system. So I thought that was pretty cool that somebody figured out how to do this with Max. I was vaguely aware of this, but it seemed like a big hassle. But I know that this has actually been around for a couple months now, and I think most of their work has actually been going around this privacy and like security, both for you, the model host, and then also the people using your server. So yeah, any questions about that? Does anybody here have a Mac Mini that they would try and put on here? I know Quentin says he just tried out. I don't know if you actually have an M5 Pro MacBook Pro, Quentin, but yeah, it'd be cool to see if you're actually able to make as much money as they claim to on their page.
Yeah, I have the M5 Mac Pro 48 gig. So at full tilt, they said it's $192 a month. So half of that that you just had up there, I guess. I'm definitely not ever going to do this. Not a chance. But it's very cool.
Wait, why would you not do this? Because of the privacy stuff?
Unnecessary complexity in my life. I just don't want to deal with it.
I
have nothing against it, and I believe the Apple hardware may be a really secure path.
It's good. My understanding is that like all of that privacy stuff is abstracted away from you, and like the install, from what I saw what they claimed, it's very direct. Where I think you literally just like install something like you normally would, and then you just like set it up, and then like log into your account, and then just like run a setup command and pick a model to use, and it just gets added in.
Oh, I might use it. Oh, I thought you meant, would I host other people's models on my Mac?
I guess the other people's models are big name models. These aren't like random models. There's, like I said, there's 3 models to actually go and choose from right now, for you to host.
Right. Huh, that's cool.
But yeah, so
is it that they also like guarantee crypto, like, because it's a just execution environment, that like, well, the guarantee of the user safety, so is like actually the only platform on Open Router that can basically guarantee that the provider cannot read your data because it's on a Mac, and like they can leverage that, because I'm guessing this thing is not only for like the Mac, the trust execution environments are not only for verifying which model you're running, but also for ensuring that the data that it's processing cannot leave and you cannot physically read it without compromising your, like, without making it obvious for for the server. So is it like, are they saying that also, that like, are they also using that as an advertising, that like your data is actually not being able to read, like,
I don't know if they're how much they're leaning on that side of things. I think they definitely could. I think theoretically for H100s, I believe they also have a secure execution environment on them. I remember looking into that. I don't know if the newer B200s do. So technically, other providers on OpenRouter could theoretically have the same thing,
Mhm.
where they have sort of like a way for a third party to attest to the fact that they are like what you're specifically attesting to is that they are running a specific version of a piece of software. Like you basically have a hash of the piece of software, and you can go and verify that they are the same. So then you'd be able to audit that piece of software and be able to say like, oh yeah, nowhere in this software are they saving any data or anything like that. My guess is that like they might not be fully confident in their internal stack. Like I said, part of me wants to go and just throw an agent at it and see, like can GLM 5.3 go and hack into this thing and go and mess with it. I think that the closest thing, or like the easiest potential way to go and mess with it is to run a different model than what you say you are. I think that is a little bit weird because that's a live execution environment, but they still have checks every like couple of minutes that you'd have to dodge. Yeah. But yeah,
Cool.
technically, I think based on that, this is probably the securest way. Or yeah, like I won't say securest, but what model is being run with a higher chance of correctness than any of the other providers. Like, other providers in OpenRouter, they can quantize the model and you wouldn't necessarily know. But here, you know pretty well that whatever model they say they're running, whatever quantization of Quen or Gemma, that is specifically what they are running. You have better guarantees, I'd say, than a random provider. Natural Stupid says, is there a way to verify on Windows which model it is using? Some verification from Llama C++. It's like I looked into this, like the more general case of can you verify on arbitrary hardware or arbitrary operating system. To my knowledge, there's no good way of doing it on existing operating systems. Mac is a bit special because Apple sort of like has it clamped down a little bit more. And it's a little bit more sort of like privacy and security focused than things like Windows or Linux are, in terms of like, can a third party go and mess with it? It's Apple makes it a bit harder to do so. And like I said, yeah, they have a bunch of like hardware level, like I forget what they call it, but they have like OS integrity stuff basically on Mac that no other operating system has. So cool.
Yeah, because Windows runs on like any hardware you give to it, and Mac, like Apple can control the exact hardware and firmware and software that they're putting on there, so they can. I think you can still turn it off. Like in some like Mac BIOS settings, but then I think the app can request that it's not turned off in order to run or something, which I'm sure they're doing. So yeah, that's a pretty nice way to leverage that, because for now that system integrity protection was kind of annoying to deal with. I would turn it off always, and it's just kind of not useful for anything. But this feels like the only like the actual use case. Then a banking app telling you can't use it because you have it turned off or something. In my experience, so this is pretty nice use case for it.
Anything else about Darkbloom anybody wants to discuss?
Do you know what their prices are for like Quen models, for example? Because I think Quen was really expensive last time I checked. It's like
70
okay,
cents.
that's.
So,
but this is the
mixture of experts one. The expensive one that you're thinking of is
7B,
the dense model. So yeah, this is about $3 per million output. It's the issue. This is not a model that would run well on Macs because of Mac's low memory bandwidth and also low compute intensity. Because this model, I think, on a 3090 at batch size like 2, it's already saturated all of the compute, and the 3090 has like 50x the compute that a Mac has. So yeah, this you need more proper compute for that. Macs just don't have the horsepower to run this at decent speeds.
I see. Is there a reason like they're not offering it at like a slow snail speed at a discount? It feels like there would be a market for that. Is that a thing on OpenRouter or something?
It's maybe. I feel like. I mean, I guess what we got this provider. This is for the MOE model. They're running at 8 tokens per second.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's not a very good user experience to go and get that. So who? I guess you got 13. You got 13 tokens per second as well. Parasail. for the 27.
And still as expensive, so it's a bit
Yeah.
strange proposition.
Mhm.
It feels like a lot of background tasks can run at like 5 tokens per second, and you don't care because it's so slow, and you don't. It's not an urgent thing. It can just be running for as long as you're saving money on it,
Mhm.
like off peak and stuff. Like
It's yeah.
feels
I
like
mean,
there should be
but then
this-
you're also competing with all the off-peak pricing, and flex pricing
yeah.
of the likes of OpenAI and stuff. So
Yeah. That was at least the premise for my SSD idea, that you can if you have your SSDs running your model at like 3 tokens per second, that's good enough. But I'm switching now to, because SSDs are expensive, so I'm switching to a DDR4 idea with like just spam cheap DDR4 from servers, and that's now the same price, but it's not gonna burn after 80 million tokens.
I'd say, 'cause I remember you had said previously that if you're trying to run LM inference like off an SSD, essentially the SSD gets worn out super quick, and you run through all of the effectively cycles that the SSD has for reading. Right?
Yeah, you get like 100 million tokens for the entire lifetime of SSD, or at least that it's warranted terabytes that it's supposed to be able to like deal with. So but RAM is actually designed to do that. So, and RAM is pretty, it's not that cheap, but it's pretty cheap. That is DDR4. Like if I found some like terabyte of RAM from DDR4 for like $2,000, which is like you can run a Kimi K3 on that already. So
it's funny you mentioned. I just bought actually 128 gigabytes of DDR4 for a new server I'm building right now. I also think if you're looking at doing, I assume like DDR4 inference with or without GPU, I know K Transformers is sort of that hybrid environment where you're using both DDR4 memory and the GPU moving stuff back and forth. I believe, last I knew, this is the most optimized for it. I think Llama C++ also has the ability to use hybrid methodologies like that as well.
cool. Yeah, I was thinking to get like one of those server like plates with a lot of PCIe lanes and just spend 3060s in there, because they're super cheap, and each one gets you a 32 gigabytes per second bandwidth when you plug it in. So you basically, with the 3060s for like $150, you get 32 gigabytes of memory bandwidth, and that's you're using your RAM as VRAM, and then you have like 8 of them, and you get a memory bandwidth of DGX Spark but with terabytes of RAM for the same price ish, at least in theory.
As that'd be a very interesting server idea. Yeah, 256 gigabytes a second of memory bandwidth is that is
through PCIe lanes, entirely through like moving stuff into and out of GPUs. So
yeah, I guess you would also have to distribute, because I think PCIe lanes are also bottlenecked at a couple gigabytes per second, right?
32.
32. Okay.
It's not bad.
So then you
Better than
need
SSDs.
8 3060s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are server plates where you can fit all 8 at the same bandwidth, and they will get the same access to the RAM. So you basically use the RAM as the VRAM. It's just that you still do the token tensor parallelism stuff. Yeah, stuff like that, actually.
That's it. This is the motherboard I bought, which is basically it's able to
You
go
already
and
bought
do
it.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking a little into one like that or a similar one. Yeah. But I wanted to like a double CPU one, because then it's better. It's easier to do token parallelism if there's 2 CPUs and they're actually linked by the NUMA, right? Because I would expand it eventually.
Yeah.
Or at least, I don't know.
That's a very interesting project. Hope to hear more from it in the future. Pavel in the chat also mentions free token running at like small models. Oh, free token. Yes, that is also an inference engine that came out this week. This is, I guess, also talk about sort of inference using RAM and your GPU. Free token. This, I believe, is actually, I forgot about this. This came out this week, and I believe they claim it's like 2 to 4 times faster than regular sort of like Olama way to run it, which Olama not very good per se, but as Pavel says, I'll just open up this image.
It's basically from the same paper you've been just showing.
Yeah. That's just easy way to find the graph. but yeah, using I believe 8 GB of memory and then just like some fast RAM, they're able to run the model much faster than you would conventionally. So you can see like K transformers, Llama C++, Ollama all struggling to run Qwen 3.6 and 8 GB of memory, but this one 40 tokens per second I'd say is pretty decent. Yeah, they show codex median at 33 tokens per second, so fast enough to go and do reasonable things on here. So I haven't gotten the chance for it. I believe in their paper they are using DDR5 memory, which is the memory that has gone up hugely in cost. Like Daniel Zadi was talking about DDR4 memory, which is a bit slower. So you will definitely won't see as good performance on lesser systems. But yeah, if you have DDR5 memory in a small-ish GPU, this is actually probably the best way to go and run it now. Not K transformers anymore. I think, do they have wide range model support? I'm not sure what models they support yet, because this is relatively new. But yeah, once again, if you're interested in that, go check this out. I'll toss a link in here for you. Cool. All right. Moving along now, we'll stay in Mac land and hardware land. We have new chips from Apple coming out. So first, the M5 Ultra. So the Ultra series of M series chips are the really good ones. These are the ones that you want to go and do inference with usually. Like if we go to Darkbloom, the highest earning ones will be the Mac Studios with the Ultra chips because they have the best memory bandwidth speeds. So yeah, those will go and make the most, and they can serve the most tokens. So we haven't actually had one with the M4 series of models, and so we're getting that back though now with M5. So that's very nice to see. I believe it goes up to 512 gigabytes of memory. So you can run pretty large models, up to a trillion parameter models, theoretically, on there. So there's that. There's also the new M6 chip that Apple announced. I've heard rumors that this chip sort of series isn't going to have too much interesting things about it because M7 is a much bigger upgrade and they're focusing a lot of their development plans on M7. But I believe M6, they've only released the base chip. It's about 10 to 15% better than the M5 chip. They've also increased pricing across the board. I wonder if we can go and see it. Yeah, we can. So Mac Minis, they used to be $600 base price. Now it's $900 with the new M6 chip. And then I believe, because Will has mentioned, would you like a new car or a Mac Studio? That is the correct assessment, because the new Mac Studios, I believe the high end is about $20,000 for a Mac Studio. So if we go to pre-order, let's go Mac spec out. So yeah, M5 Ultra for the good we'll do that. And then yeah, you can't even buy the max amount of memory version with, like I said, 512 gigabytes of memory. But yeah, base model is $10,800 for 256 gigabytes of memory. So these things are not cheap, especially if you get like storage upgrades or whatever. Yeah, you can get it up to 18.3. But yeah, these are probably the easiest way to run very large models at home, and also relatively cost effective. Like I said, this is what I believe it is 5 times the memory bandwidth of a DGX Spark. And 2 DGX Sparks are roughly the same price. I believe 2 DGX Sparks right now will put you back about $9,000. And this will be able to run it about 5 times faster for a given model. And yeah, 2 DGX Sparks have the same amount of memory as 256 gigabytes. So yeah. So if you are super into local LM inference, you like running the big models, this is probably the best way to go. I believe the previous M3 Ultra, which was the previous Ultra chip that they had, that max memory bandwidth was 800 gigabytes a second. So this one, not counting any of the CPU speed and performance increases, will just be 50% faster because of that faster memory. And yeah, Will says cost comparison I saw was the RTX Pro 6000 versus M5 Ultra. Yeah, that's another RTX 6000 Pro. This is sort of in between if you can't afford a B200 GPU from NVIDIA, but you want something more powerful than a 5090. Yeah, the 6000 Pro is what you get. These actually have gone up in price a ton. When they originally came out, they were $8,000 each, I believe. Now they are, I believe they go for about 12 to 13. But these have 96 gigabytes of memory. These will be, if you can fit the model into memory, this will be faster than the Mac. I believe its memory bandwidth speeds is about 1.8 terabytes of memory bandwidth. So it will be a bit faster. It also will handle parallelization much better. Like it has a lot more flops, so it can do a lot more compute than the Mac can. But the issue is that, yeah, it has, was that 1/3 roughly the amount of memory as the Mac. So you can't run as large of a model on here. It also uses, I believe, about 3 times the amount of electricity as well. So sort of cost of ownership over time will also be higher. And you also do need a PC to plug this into. I actually saw that figure, Will, on Twitter of someone saying, oh, it needs like a 3 to 5K computer to run it on. You don't need to have a 3 to 5K. You could actually, like, because for LM inference, everything matters about the GPU. The rest of it doesn't matter. You could plug this into like a $500 PC, and it will work just fine. So yeah, you don't need necessarily a very expensive computer around this, but you need the rest of the computer, unlike the Mac, which comes with a computer, along with a very fancy LLM inference chip. So yeah, thought that was interesting for those looking to get into the Mac space. We have some good options. Yeah. And sticking now with...
I just wanted to
yes.
add, I guess, real quick, that like I think another trade-off is that with the DGX Spark, you can plausibly train something like a little Quen or do some LoRa's or something, but on a Mac, as far as I can tell, like all you can do is inference. So you're kind of right, and like same with the RTX 6000. I think a lot of companies are buying them to fine-tune their own little models to do stuff, and you can't really do anything on like a Mac is only an inference device at this point, as far as I can tell, unless it's changed recently.
I know people do train stuff. I believe Brandon Snyder has trained stuff on his Mac. So MLX is sort of the Apple version of PyTorch, for like running and writing models and training them. So you can definitely train on Macs. Training happens to be a paradigm where more compute matters versus memory bandwidth. So the Macs will be slower. But yeah, usually for training, actually, the math makes sense usually to go and rent out GPUs in the cloud. Will just be more cost effective usually, especially if you're just doing sporadic training. Like if you're doing like incessant, training over the course of, I think the break even is usually between like 3 to 6 months straight of training, like 24/7. Then it makes sense to buy a GPU. But if you're doing anything less than that, it's probably easier to just go and rent a GPU in the cloud and use that to train instead.
Yeah, that's fair.
Whereas inference, it makes more sense to, inference, you are much more likely to be running 24/7, or, you can batch stuff and, do it later or whatever. So inference is a workload that favors actually owning the hardware a bit more than training does. So yeah, that's why usually when I'm talking about local hardware, it's all about inference. And then when you want to train something, go to the cloud. It's training stuff locally. You really realize how little memory all these devices have for training. Like B200s start running out of memory, and I think they have like close to 200 gigabytes on there during training. So yeah, use the cloud, GPUs. It makes life much easier if you want to train a model. Yeah, any other questions or comments about the new Macs or Macs in general? If not, we can move along to the other form factor from Apple, the iPhone. So this is a question I believe that has come up a number of times here at AI Tools Club, and that is, I want to go and run a model on my phone. What model should I go and pick? And so it's always been sort of like, go look at like the liquid AI models are probably a good option, or some of like the smaller Quen models. But now artificial analysis has put together a benchmark for us, gathering like a couple sort of decent benchmarks that are representative of tasks that you would want to run on your phone. So yeah, they go and find that as per the recommendations here, the liquid foundation models are all really good. We can see LFM 2.5 is sort of dominating the cost frontier, or rather, I guess it's a time frontier. So how fast it takes to generate on a phone versus its intelligence. So my takeaway from this is that this LFM 2.5, 2.6b model, this seems to be the best. in terms of raw intelligence. And then their 8 billion parameter mixture of experts model is the, if you want the like best speed to cost trade-off, that's the one to go and look at. And then everything else you can go and ignore. All the Quens and Gemmas and stuff, they are not as good. So talking about these benchmarks, I sort of mentioned that these benchmarks are okay. So a lot of them probably aren't measuring everything you'd care about. Let's see. Is this the, do they show everything here? I thought they had, oh yeah, they have a breakdown here. So I think like 3 of these are good. The other 2 are meaningless. So we'll start with the good ones, which is Berkeley function calling leaderboard. This is tool use for LLMs and how reliably they are able to go and use tools. It is not meant to be a very complex reasoning benchmark outside of like picking the right tool or set of tools and then going and using them in the correct format. So yeah, this is a good benchmark. We can see the LFM models are here near the top at around 75-ish%. I don't know if you can see that on stream or not, but they're near the top. This is one definitely where the top end, I wouldn't read too much into. You mostly just want to see any of the models down here you don't want to use. That's the big takeaway I'd say from this graph. But I think up in like these, upper 70s%, it's mostly just evaluation noise between these models. So I wouldn't go and say like, the NVIDIA model here is so much better than the liquid models. Like, no. Next up is instruction following bench. This does what it says on the can, where it's how good is the model at following instructions. We see actually the liquid model here at the top. So very nice to see there. That's something expected. And then finally, and this is the real reason why I think the liquid model is really good, is hallucination rate. One of the main things that we have learned from doing these benchmarks is that the smaller the model is, the less world knowledge it has. And because of this, it is much more likely to hallucinate by being a small model, just in terms of number of parameters. And so you need to go and train in the model to not hallucinate. That's not something that the model inherently learns itself. You have to tell the model, no, don't hallucinate on this answer, go do this instead. And so we can actually see, once again, the LFM 26B model is near the top here of not hallucinating, but it also does well of actually still answering questions. I believe it's here at 7%. Whereas these other 2 models are like super low on accuracy because they just refuse most questions. So the LFM model does a good job of balancing, answering the few questions that it does know, and then ignoring or not hallucinating on the rest of them and just saying, I don't know the answer to that. So they seem to have done a good job with that. Then they have GPQA Diamond and Math 500. These benchmarks are meaningless. These are the ones that I say you could just ignore. I think these are adding noise to it. GPQA Diamond has been out for a gazillion years now, is definitely overfit on. And I think the scores that we see here are roughly just in order of parameters, essentially, because it's just how much knowledge about the benchmark can the model hold. And the larger the model is, the more information it can hold about these benchmarks. So I'd ignore that. Math 500 as well. This is a pretty saturated benchmark. We see like at the high end, like 96, 97% for these models. I think it's useful for the low end. Like if the model struggles on this, don't use that model. But in terms of like if the model is good, it doesn't really mean much being at the top here, because this is another benchmark that's been around for a million years, very famously overfit on. There used to be the Hugging Face LLM leaderboard, where people's fine-tunes would all get benchmarked and stuff, and this is one of the benchmarks that got overfit on there, so there's not any meaningful signal there. We have people in the chat cheering for Liquid AI. Yes, they are based in Boston here, around the MIT ecosystem. Pavel asked if we have any Liquid AI folks at Sunday. I think we're actually planning an upcoming hack with them in the future. I don't know how much more I can say than that. But yeah, I think there's stuff in the works. We've been talking with them for a while. And then, Will says he's been working on this as well. We'll open this link up. Natural Stupid says, is it possible that the model keeps evolving on the iPhone and everyone gets personalized model eventually? I think somebody actually did a hack on that. I think that's a whole discussion around memory. I think we have Pavel in here. Yeah, we do. But there's a whole discussion around, do you train the model to get better, or do you build a good a memory system for the model to use for it to evolve and work with? I think building a proper memory system around the model versus training it is something that we could see. But I don't think we're going to be training the models on our phones, at least not at this point, because that's a little bit too much for essentially. It's very hard to go and fine-tune models off like small amounts of data. Usually you want thousands and thousands of examples, which is not something you can really train on your phone. So yeah, Will, I assume. Oh, he just got it running. Yeah. Oh, one of the liquid models on what is this? Oh, an old Kindle Fire. That's super cool to see. We should start including felony bench in these comparisons. It's the nice thing is I believe all of these small models are not smart enough to go and hack into other systems. So for those that don't know, felony bench is the models hacking out of their sandboxes during reinforcement learning. So that's what we saw during the OpenAI and Hugging Face incident. That was a couple weeks ago, where one of OpenAI's models that they were evaluating broke out of its sandbox and hacked the Hugging Face servers to go and look for the answer to the question it was being asked. So yeah, those big models, like I think we've seen it from Anthropic, Meta, I believe XAI, OpenAI, and I believe Kimi also mentioned that happened on their end, but that's it. And those are like basically all of the biggest models out there. So, but I don't think we need to worry about that for these small models. They will all score 0 on that benchmark for a while now. But yeah, if you or anyone else in the future, actually, I guess one other thing, they also show speed for all of these models, because that matters as well for, if you're deploying it on a phone, is the model can be slow a lot of the times. And so there needs to be a balance of, intelligence, and then also number of output tokens, and also the model architecture for how fast it is. And that's where you can see the LFM models once again doing very well. Basically everything in the bottom of the chart here being LFM models. And then the 2.6B model right here at 8 seconds for responses, respectable, I would say. I think this is just average generation time across the entire benchmark suite. So yeah, that seems to be the sweet spot for now. So if any new models, small models come out and you're wondering how they do, I would go and check out this. Hopefully we can have some more hacks in the future at Sunday with people running these models on their phone, because I think it is a super cool form factor, and maybe we can start doing like small agentic things with them. Like someone can make more proper Siri finally, Siri that actually works. But yeah, any questions or comments about on-device AI?
Just a quick comment. So I've got a Pixel 11 for myself, and it has this crazy, fantastic voice typing system called Rambler. I think that's kind of the only good thing about the phone, actually. But it's just unbelievable. It's literally agentic. It can go and change things that you've said before. It can translate to another language in the real time. It seems there is like a kind of a real-time LLM or something running inside of it. So I don't think anybody has built anything similar that runs not on a Google phone, but I think it's just an unbelievable opportunity. Seriously, quick comment from my side.
Does that run on the phone?
I think it does, because latency is extremely fast. Like, to be honest, I don't know for sure.
That's amazing. Yeah.
It'd be interesting to go and reverse engineer it to figure out what it's actually. I wonder if this is being built on top of the Google or the Gemma 4 E4B models. So no, Google trained these for on-device deployments. So I wonder if they sort of like fine-tuned it and I think they actually have audio understanding out of the box for them. So it'd be interesting to see if Google use that model, or if they have something else under the hood that they're using for it. And then can we go and pull it out and use it somewhere else potentially?
And sorry guys, just one more thing. So I was just completely, my mind was blown out when I was yapping to it for a couple of minutes, and then I was like, oh, actually send this message in Russian, and then all of the things I was yapping in English, it immediately put as a block of Russian text, like in a few seconds. Just unbelievable.
That's super cool. Shrikant asked, does this mean WhisperFlow is dead? I don't think so, just because this is isolated to the Pixel, whereas WhisperFlow, I believe, WhisperFlow also works on non-Mac devices, but it's primarily used on Mac. And they also are very big, have a lot of momentum. But I think, if the system is that good, you could probably definitely disrupt WhisperFlow by building something like this yourself. Because I know Whisperflow is actually like fairly bare bones in terms of functionality and features. Like you can go and vibe code Whisperflow in like a day or two. It's not that complex of an app. It's just basic automatic speech recognition with a few extra like bells and whistles for a nice user experience. But yeah. Quentin, do you have something to say, or are you just unmuted?
Sorry, that's my dog whining. I will mute.
All good. Cool. And sticking, actually, what do we want to talk about? Yeah, well, sticking with the idea of killing Whisperflow, I saw this where this guy, he's a pretty big name. He runs the AI Engineer Conference, pretty good YouTube series. They have a bunch of people come and give talks, upload them all to YouTube. I would definitely go and recommend checking those out. But he's been talking about how he's been sort of systematically going and removing a whole bunch of different SaaS services that he goes and relies on, and building new ones and better ones using AI for his use cases. So I wanted to, talk with the community here and see if anybody is doing this, what kind of success they had or failures with replacing different SaaS products in their local stack, if they're doing that, or why you're not doing that for certain cases. So has anybody tried this or done this before?
I've done something very simple. Some of the marketing apps, they seemed like they were doing very simple things for me. And so I sort of one-shotted it with GPT-5.6 Sol. And it's doing okay. I mean, it's doing as well as the paid services, at least for my case. That's my only direct attempt to replace a SaaS. And essentially it's got search strings and it's looking for potential customers on places like Reddit or forums or whatever. We'll see how it works out.
Nice. Is anybody else? Guess, I mean, how many people here actually pay for different SaaS products that you would even consider replacing with AI? I assume you're not going to replace your banking app with AI, but does anyone even have like good candidates for something that they could replace?
Sentry is one for monitoring. I don't think that it has to be that special. And what's the other one that I was thinking of? The tracing, LangTrace. I'm not sure that that's all that special, really. But it's easier to use.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's all.
I'd say no. I've had beef with all of the Lang chain or Lang whatever products. I've used them since they first came out, since ChatGPT released. I've tried them out, and I've never really liked them, or thought that the abstractions that they gave were very useful. So, and yeah, I would agree that this is one that you definitely like. Whenever I'm doing and building my own sort of like prompt or like agentic things, a lot of the times if they're small and simple, I will go and roll it myself or use something that isn't LangChain or one of their associated products because I'm just not a fan of their ecosystem. Pavel says Granola, following along with like Whisperflow and stuff. Yeah, Granola is just automatic speech recognition, just running in the background for you, like at all times, I think, and then just spitting that into an LM to get a summary. So that's something definitely very feasible to go and replace with either a full local stack or just something that you send up to the cloud for fairly cheap. Interesting. Okay, so it seems we don't have too many SaaS users, or at least people who are interested in replacing them or anything like that. Cool. We will touch briefly on what Quentin brought up earlier, which is the Aux Alpha model. I won't give too much time for this because it is a stealth model, but many people have been seeing it's been making a splash. You can use it for free across a bunch of different platforms. I think Hermes Agent, you can use it for free there, which is their like OpenClaw competitor. You can also use it for free in OpenCode. I think also Klein, you can use it for free. And they've been also saying that they have a ton of capacity to go and run this model, which interestingly, where is it? This is from the OpenCode team. They basically say that 10 trillion tokens of DeepSeek Flash is, I believe they say, yeah, it's 1,000 B300s. So a ton of GPUs to serve 10 trillion tokens. And whoever is behind Ox Alpha is offering 10x that amount for free. So that'd be, like 10,000 B300 equivalents, which a B300 is like $6 an hour. So that's $60,000 an hour if this model is the same size as DeepSeek V4 Flash. But yeah, this model, I believe it's like 95% assumed. I think that's what the current betting markets are said, that this is a GLM model. It actually shares the same tokenizer as the GLM series of models. So we at least know at the very, that it is at least a fine tune of a GLM model. But yeah, this is suspected to be GLM 5.3 Flash is what people have been calling it. So probably a small model. My guess at these token rates, it's probably like a 30 billion parameter model. The thing is that, and the reason people are getting so hyped for it, is that it is a free or cheap model that is doing fairly well. So yeah, I think, is this like a cohesive? This is like a decent-ish graph. But on DeepSui, which is right now, I would say the best benchmark for agentic coding applications, we can see Ox Alpha is up here above, Opus 4.5. It's better than Luma as well. And then also, usually these smaller models are very token hungry. I don't think, they have like Quen over here. This isn't the smaller Quen, but I think the smaller Quen uses even more tokens. But yeah, the small models tend to use a ton of tokens. But we see here that this is actually a pretty efficient model as well. So yeah, very interesting to go and see. So yeah, there's been a lot of hype around this model. Don't know when this is actually going to be released. I can see here people in the comments saying it's GLM 5.3 Flash. But yeah, we don't know when this is going to be released, but this should be a pretty interesting model because hopefully it will either be very cheap or a good model that you can run locally. Because if this is a 30 billion parameter model, I'm definitely going to be running this locally on my 3090s. There's also rumors that it's a bit bigger than that, but that it can fit into your DGX Spark as well. So we'll have to wait and see for that. Will saying, what billionaire has that much compute to give away? That's what I said, like, it's very weird. I think this like 100 trillion token number is a bit of a sort of marketing thing, because like using 100 trillion tokens is insane per day. All the feverish around the DeepSeek V4 Flash release, that only peaked at I think around like 20 trillion tokens per day. So this would be 5x that. It's also, because of that, probably a pretty efficient model. Interestingly, GLM, they actually just brought online a bunch of compute from Huawei. So they are starting to bring online Chinese GPUs, essentially, to go and serve this stuff. So I think they mentioned that they have a bunch of new super pods, is what they're being called, which I think is like a couple thousand Huawei 950s, I believe, which are roughly like H100 capability level. And that's fully like local, as in local to China hardware, where they control that entire supply chain. So that's probably where the compute for this is coming from. But yeah, people have been saying that like, oh, this like only Elon could be doing this or something like that to be giving this much away. But I don't think this is the case. This is actually GLM. They famously did this for their GLM 5 model. I think it's called like Pink Pony or something like that. That model, and that also garnered a lot of hype, and that that sort of like helped launch that model, and gain a little bit of aura, because these stealth models like Nano Banana, that was the code name for the Gemini image generation model that was used, and everybody liked it so much that that's why it's still called that. It was not meant to be called Nano Banana when it actually released, but that's the name that stuck and that everybody liked. Daniel asks if I got another 3090. You're putting the pieces together here, Daniel. That is why I'm getting all these fancy server components and all of these, all this memory and all this stuff. I have a second 3090, and it does not fit into my desktop at home. I thought I had a second PCIe 16X slot, but I don't. So now I have to go and build a new fancy computer. Oh no. So compute community will have.
Can you just put it in the other small PCIe and then get an NVLink? Would that be enough?
I could, if I wanted to, but I've been like building this sort of like more proper like LLM server, because like this is just like my desktop, what I'm streaming off this right now. But I've had plans on building an actual proper server for running LLMs. And so yeah, I just decided like instead of like trying to like jury rig it into this desktop and like spend a bunch of money on parts that won't transfer to the server in the future, just pull the trigger now on building the server and just use that as my reason for spending all that money. And then yeah, like NVLink, it's I think for inference, if you're on like PCIe 3.0 like 16x, NVLink only actually increases the speeds by like 5 to 10%, and that's also assuming if you're doing like tensor parallel or something like that, like using both GPUs to run the model. And Will says, yeah, it's dicey on consumer hardware. And yeah, they're also, it's expensive. I think NVLink is like $300 or $400 for 3090s. So it's like 1/3 the cost of the 3090 just to connect them to each other. But yeah. Any questions about Aux Alpha or comments? Has anybody actually gone and used it? Like I said, it is free tokens, basically unlimited free tokens to go and do stuff, and it's a pretty smart model. So yeah, I would go, if for no other reason, go check it out for that. You can go and run whatever silly experiments you want with this, and it won't cost you anything. Yeah, basically, yeah, unlimited rate limits as well. It's Natural Stupid says OpenAI releases their chip. Oh yeah, we can talk about this briefly if we want. Yeah, so I think we also covered this momentarily. But yeah, this is Jalapeno. This is OpenAI's internal chip. So you can imagine this is similar to the Cerebrus chips or the chips from Grok with a Q that NVIDIA bought as well, where these are chips meant specifically for super fast inference. And so they, yeah, compare to a bunch of NVIDIA deployments, and they basically show that they can do much faster tokens per second per user, which is sort of like the Cerebrus metric, and that also they deliver more throughput per kilowatt, so tokens per kilowatt, which is the main thing that data center designers look for when purchasing and sort of like getting these chips, because electricity is your big cost at these data centers. So the fact that, yeah, you have higher throughput per watt is very good. So yeah, they actually show, I don't know, they don't have the direct, but Semi-Analysis, one of the sort of like silicon manufacturer commentators, they ran through their benchmarks with these, and they actually saw that this outdoes the new Vera Rubin GPUs from NVIDIA that are coming out as well, not only the B200s. So they seem to already be ahead of sort of like the latest and greatest from NVIDIA, which seems to be very good. This is definitely probably not something that we're going to be able to ever buy, but OpenAI will be relying on this in their new massive data centers that they are building out. And this will be saving them a lot of money. So that's pretty cool. Then Shrikant says, Hugging Face exploring cell. Yes, I saw this as well. Where Hugging Face, for those that don't know, this is where this is like the GitHub for that button. This is like GitHub for LLM models. So all of the models and data sets, they get hosted on Hugging Face. So you can see here, actually, like I have a bunch of models that I go and like, if you want to go and download these things, like I think the most popular ones were like the old Llama 3.2 models. I went and quantized them. And so, yeah, like you can go and download it from here. Same with data sets. And they also have like some compute stuff if you just want to go and like test out models really quick. They're a really big name in the open source space. And yeah, they are fielding offers or sort of like, yeah, looking around to sell to, I believe it's not like another company. It's basically sort of like not private equity, but something along those lines at around $13 billion, which would be very interesting. And hopefully the company doesn't, change its ways at all. Because I know there's been a lot of people saying that like, oh, they don't make enough money, or, their business model is bad, where they're just spending all this money on storage, and there's no real, I think they only make money really on enterprise plans and like some of their compute stuff. But they keep saying that they are profitable. It's not an issue. So yeah. But yeah, interesting that they might be getting sold in the future here. It is 6 o'clock, but I will just leave you with some things to go and look at, which is the Humanoid Robot Olympics that just happened in China. There's a bunch of fun and silly clips of robots doing all the different types of Olympic sports. So yeah, you can see here, this is like, I think the like 400 meter, but then it's also doing like the 100-meter dash where it broke the human world record from Usain Bolt. They also did long jump and fighting, and then like dexterity stuff. I think there's some videos of them playing tennis, which I think that was actually the most interesting demonstration. Like this is by far the most complex task that these models have to go and do, where they have to like move around and calculate where the ball is going to be. Like this is a fully autonomous demo. So thought this was really cool. So it's yeah, during the week I'd say yeah, go check out a bunch of these videos, a bunch of super cool stuff to see what the future for robotics look like. There's also a bunch of really cool explosions and stuff, especially from the running ones, where the robots just sort of fold on themselves and blow up. So yeah, go enjoy, look at those. But yeah, we are out of time today. Are there any final questions, comments, or concerns before we all depart? If not, thank you all for coming this week, and hope to see you all again next week. Thank you.